Fireside chat under our program Credit Goes to Her initiative. This community was created by CRIF India to spotlight women in credit and BFSI, whose perspective shapes the future of financial services. This platform amplifies their voices and celebrates their journeys. We're delighted to have you here with us today. As we continue building this movement, today's conversation focuses on inclusive finance through digital transformation. Today, we have with us leader whose journey exemplifies resilience, expertise, and empowerment. I warmly welcome Aastha Kharia, Group Head International Banking, NPS Coverage Platform at Axis Bank. Aastha is a senior banking leader with over 20 years of experience across corporate banking, business transformation, and strategic leadership. She spent 18 years in corporate banking, managing some of the bank's largest conglomerate relationships. Her leadership experience spans 4 major markets, portfolio exceeding $10 billion. Over the past 2 years, Aastha has led more than 25 enterprise-wide strategic transformation initiatives. Thank you so much, Aastha, for joining us.
Thank you, Sharda, for a warm introduction. Deeply humbled to be a part of this noble and thoughtful initiative. Credit goes to her. It's great to be here at this fireside chat with you. As bankers, we are usually seen on the other side of the table, speaking out questions, barrage of questions, in fact, during the credit assessment. So I believe this should be an interesting one at this fireside chat when I'm sitting on this side of the table.
Let's jump into this. We're very eager to know about your personal journey. 2 decades of remarkable journey, life that you've lived as a professional. Could you take us back to the beginning? What drove you to banking? Which experiences along the way truly shaped the leader that you are today?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question because it's very close to my heart. This is the journey that I have walked. And that is why I stand here today talking to you. It has been an incredible, very fulfilling journey, I must say, but a tough one. I started my career in Bengaluru after my MBA, and I started in a department which not many women would be taking it up. It was a microfinance department, and that is how I started my career as relationship manager. If I have to quote and go into the flashback of how relationship manager look like when they enter, it would be all full of chaos, curious, and full of life. That is how relationship managers' adjectives could be actually, quoted. So that is how my journey started. I've gone into deep interiors in the microfinance, also taking care and having a look into the self-help group because I was learning at that point in time. But soon I saw myself getting an opportunity when I was sponsored for supply chain financing. This is a value chain completely that comes into play, right? The ecosystem drive from dealers to vendors. So I shifted to supply chain financing department, and thereafter soon I got the opportunity into being a corporate banker, which was sponsored to me, and so I took up that opportunity also. So in a span of around 1.5 years, I think the life was moving very fast. I moved 3 departments, and thereafter I thought that this is the journey that kind of give me or will be giving a set of stability. As women, we see there are 3 parts of life which are very, very integral to many of the women. This is marriage, maternity, and mobility. So from Bangalore, I moved to Delhi. From Delhi, I moved to Pune. And thereafter, I was sponsored for coming to Mumbai, and I seized that opportunity as well. So this happened, and this is how my career was kind of shaped. Interestingly, each location, each geography gave and contributed to what I am today. It shaped a version of today what I am. Bangalore gave the foundation of it, the fundamentals of what banking is. Delhi gave me the depth and the breadth of relationship management. I always say one has to learn the finer nuances of the relationship management out in Delhi. And thereafter, I moved to Pune. Pune gave that envelope and the cover of the empathetic relationship management. And then I was called to Mumbai for handling the largest portfolio in the country. So that is how it got shaped. And then I got the opportunity with Axis Bank. So 2 years back, when I joined Axis Bank, it was a completely clean slate. This was a completely new journey, a new profile that was kind of given to me. And I found it very exciting because I realized that being uncomfortable is the most comfortable thing for me. It looked like when I look back my journey. And then I seized this opportunity when it came to me to establish a strategic program and process design. There was no playbook. There was no manual that was kind of given because there was no legacy for this department. So ground up, I had created this department, put across 25 plus transformational projects in 2 years journey, and orchestrated the various stakeholders, put across the architect, understood how the gap assessment, the diagnostic assessments, and everything has to be put across block by block, put across the processes within the bank, and also for the stakeholders to ensure that there is a complete alignment towards a cause and the value that we wanted to contribute together as an organization. So it has been a very, very fulfilling journey for me. And as you know, now I am into an inflection point again with a new role where I'm taking care of international banking and national pension scheme and also the coverage platform. So these are the three departments that I take care of at this point in time. I have recently transitioned into this new job role as business head, group head of these three verticals.
Congratulations on that. What an amazing journey, Aastha. What an arc from microfinance to corporate banking to now international business. Also, geographically, you moved places.
Yes.
And I think you summarized it by saying being uncomfortable has actually led to this journey for you. And I'm sure there must have been many turning points and decisions, difficult decisions that you had to make personally, professionally to be where you are today. So tell us what those would be. What are those tests? I know you said it made you uncomfortable, but one or two situations that that make you what you are today.
Yeah, there are several such situations because you're sailing through the flow. You don't realize that you're constantly making decisions which is going to shape your career. But for me, I think for me, one of the most difficult and the most challenging decision was returning back after being a mother, after my motherhood times. I think that is something was one of the most challenging decision. And because do we have to return back to the same profile, same job, or we take a back seat for our career? Which could be more flexible, which could be a little relaxing. Do we want to do that? Because when I became mother, I was in Delhi, and there was a lot of travel, extreme travel in terms of going from Noida to Greater Noida and across. So it was difficult. So it was very demanding also because you are into a coverage role. You will have to be meeting the customers. That is the profile that I carried. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. So I made that decision. That was a hard decision. So I always say that when the decision is to be made between what is comfortable and uncomfortable, or the road less traveled and something that has been traveled, try and take the uncomfortable ones to challenge yourself. So thankfully, I was able to manage. I had family support. I had my partner support. So I could manage to do that. And I think the second one that I would like to voice it out is when I plunged into a career change, completely a profile change when I came to Axis Bank. That was very, very challenging when you have to put across a complete fleet of team, make them believe that we can do it together, And also, while I'm making them believe that I have to, we will work it together, I was also learning the specs of this particular profile, right? So that was another task which was entrusted to me, which I thought was very humbling and very transformative. Because we were putting across the blocks one after the other, and we didn't know what exactly is going to be the outcome. Projects are always like that. You start with something, you will have to put across each blocks by yourself, and so I think that's another one. But I believe my journey has been like this. I have left the familiarity, the credibility, and the comfort zone time and again, even by shifting location. It is never easy to pack, unpack, and then, build yourself a place, a space in that geography. Also was also challenging. So
You spoke about two important things. One is the latest example that you spoke about is you never stop learning in whatever position, whatever level you are at. So you are a group head, a very senior position in Axis Bank, one of the largest private sector banks, and yet you say that you're learning every other day. So I think that's one thing that all of us have to carry with us, that the learning never stops. But I'm going to go back to the first example. You spoke about the weight that women carry, whether it's the professional growth as well as the responsibility that we carry for our families as a wife, as a daughter, as a mother. And it cannot be done without the support system. It's so important to build that infrastructure, that ecosystem, not only for our professional journey, but also in our personal life. You spoke about your parents, you spoke about your husband. Tell us a little more about how you developed that ecosystem at home that has supported you, been your foundation for the growth.
so I think inherently I have always been a very project and process person. So maybe that helped also landing me into this particular profile professionally much easier, because for me back home, when I have to put across, I put things as a process, like 1 week breakfast for my son, how exactly it would be, right? So you don't have to keep thinking every single day what needs to be done. So obviously there will be a twist and turn few of the days, but at least wherever we can define as many processes and simplify the structure, it helps. So that I continuously tried and did back at home. And somewhere I have been very lucky because I have support from both the sides, my in-law side and my parents' side. And they have been also kind of supporting off and on with back at home on my personal front. And plus, I believe that inclusiveness is not only about we being in the corporate world, uh, needs and inclusivity. I think for men also, they have to be inclusive back at home. I think that also needs to be kind of, socialized and talked a little bit more, because uh, I think, is it socially completely acceptable for them cooking back at home? It isn't today's world. Yet we are not there, I should say.
Absolutely, yeah.
Nobody talks about like how much of work did you do at home, but everybody talks about professionally, right? So this has to be kind of openly discussed, and the more we discuss, I think more it is kind of accepted in the society. So there has to be more of the contributors even back home for us to essentially show up equally out here in the corporate world or in the business world.
Thank you for sharing that. So many nuggets of knowledge there and takeaways. I'm going to take keywords from what you spoke about structure, about process, and the future, and go to my next question about digital transformation and inclusion. Inclusion is also what you spoke about in a different context and in the previous question. But let's now talk about how digital platforms that have developed over the past couple of years are helping drive credit access to people. Is it really helping inclusion? Credit is now available on a click of a button, but is it reaching to people who really need it? Or from where you sit today, do you think there still exist gaps and barriers which needs to be spoken of and addressed?
Right. Thanks for asking that question because today data and digital democratization of the access is available, but availability doesn't means usability, doesn't means trust, doesn't means it's completely relevant for everyone, right? So I think I'll pick up few of the aspects, especially from the women point of view, because we are here for credit goes to her and I'm representing uh, that specific community. So for me, it is like if I extend certain platform to to the people, to the women, then the first aspect that comes is, and what I feel there is deficit is about the trust, because do they understand on how to use that particular platform? Very, very important for all of us to essentially understand that such deficit will lead to non-usability, and that leads to first time experience is also very, very important in that aspect, because if you're not enabling that access, then we are not able to amplify or kind of tap that set of community. So we'll have to think about how that deficit can be kind of bridged, uh, because processes, implications, all those aspects, women do think about it. Second is, I think, the design gap. Design is something that I feel is very, very important and relevant in this entire thing to tap this community, because personalization is an aspect. It's a journey. Women has a set of journey, and we don't have to classify them as homogeneous to the entire community. It is heterogeneous. That is why we are different, but different in a good sense, because we bring certain things which are different, and that is why diversity is required in its holistic sense. If there is a platform that one is developing or an architecture that is being developed which has to be extended to women, then it is important that the participation behind the scenes while or from the developer side should be there. And if that is absent, there will be certain set of biasness that will seep into it, and we will not be able to completely tap that opportunity space for entire set of women, because that needs a deep understanding of where they are coming from. And the third, what I would like to speak is about the data gap. Traditional underwriting essentially relies on uh, formal income, whereas formal income might or might not be there for this community. A lot of people, that, they've started something from home and the asset is not even with them in their name. So how do we kind of, tap that potential through the data and through AI today? That is something that we will have to do. And that is where alternative data is being spoken about so much. The cash flow based lending, which can bridge the gap essentially. And there are a lot of other, like, thin file borrowers are there, where barely any aspects of what the past history, the credit footprints are there for such business entrepreneurs or informal entrepreneurs or gig workers. So how can we kind of help them? So having the underwriting assessment embedded to these set of nuances is very, very critical for bringing and tapping those set of opportunities and scaling it up. Um, these are the design products, as I talked about, and the data gap and the trust gap. These three things I feel personally is very, very relevant in this context.
Yeah, absolutely. No, asset ownership is a big problem. Even today, just 22% of assets are in the name of women as an individual. 44% are joint. So look at the gap. There are about 56% men who have assets on their individual names, but for women, it's just 22. When we look at trust, Jandhan Yojana has led to 80% people, women having accounts, but only 40% of them actually use it. So these are important, and I think the gaps that you identified in terms of product development also is a major gap. But tell me, what would be that one thing on your wish list that you think digitally we can solve for, especially for this cause, inclusivity of women into credit?
See, I think future is AI. Uh, the faster we ingest AI into every bit of our lives, it's going to be faster, scalable, and it has to be ingested with non-biasness, because somewhere traditional model essentially can or may bring that kind of biasness. So one has to be very, very careful in terms of what we are kind of bringing in here. AI, when I talk about AI, there are a lot of nuances to it. Let's say, for example, if you have to extend lending to an informal entrepreneur. For example, let's say in Cole Harbour, somebody has started some firm selling XYZ. How can AI kind of help it? AI can scan the digital footprints, can scan across, obviously through consent base. Anything, that is one of the things which is non-negotiable. Everything has to be consent based, very transparent. Uh, so they can scan the social trust trails, they can scan the digital footprints, how that person's influence in the society is, what their past history, not only on the transaction side, but also on the cash flow surrogates. It is the potential that they can assess. How? Because there could be a supply gap, supply demand gap in that particular geography that one can identify, and thereafter can assess whether this particular potential model is scalable, non-scalable, what kind of model it is it required in terms of, is it a very niche product, what exactly it is. So all these nuances can be all kind of brought in by AI, and the assessment can be done, and basis that the outcome could be much more better, and could be more inclusive in nature. So I think a unified system that securely uses cash flow surrogates, which I talked about, the transactional patterns I talked about, the social security trust I talked about, trails, and also the digital commerce footprints, e-commerce footprints, the social media footprints, all of it can actually come into bringing that kind of credit underwriting assessment, which could be a new AI model that could kind of help in terms of assessment for this community. That would be more inclusive in nature. Then there is an embedded financing, and then there is also hyper personalization that we talk about very often. Hyper personalization in the sense, at this point in time, the working capital I need for this particular set of inventory, and I will be requiring for 7 days, 30 days, 90 days. So that is the kind of hyper personalization I'm talking about in terms of the business model that the community or the person who is starting to bring in. So these are the three aspects I think is very, very important, but AI is the most important aspect that has to be brought into the present for the future aspect.
So AI-led underwriting supported by robust alternative data to make inclusive products for women. And I think it's all our responsibility, all of us women who are on this call, who are product managers, credit managers. I think it's our responsibility to take this forward, because it's not only for the community, but it's for us to be there at the forefront in this movement. So I segue into the community aspect. CRIF has taken this initiative to form this community called Credit Goes to Her, which is us women from credit, but also with an objective to make credit accessible to the deserving women. According to you, these initiatives, they're built on the belief of representation that brings out change and impacts outcome. Do you really think they make a difference, or how could they make a difference in, I mean, fireside chat and events are important, but what else do you think that can give that impetus to this movement?
First of all, congratulations for launching this. Credit goes to her. It's very important and it's a very noble cause that you have launched for. I think it was much needed because women community, first aspect what I would like to bring in here is networking. One of the very, very important aspect of networking is through networking you get sponsorship, where somewhere we are kind of lagging in the corporate world, the business world. I'll come into some small examples of it. Let me explain through an example. Because women have to rush back to home after closing at 6. So most of the dinner parties, dinner attendance, events and gathering, they will be always kind of rushing because they are handling various personal aspects back at home also. They have to attend to that, which is as important as this, maybe more important. So how do we kind of, bring this community together? And I think CRIF has enabled this. There's a great networking platform for everyone and where we can understand. And second aspect is understanding and learning from each other's stories. It's very important to hear other stories because you become wiser through other stories and you know what to do and what not to do in your checklist. And that wisdom accelerates the career path somewhere on the way. So, and the third part is the visibility aspect. It also gives certain platform for visibility. You should choose your mentor. You get to interact freely and openly in this platform. So it's a great initiative, and I wish you all the best for this.
Absolutely, this is extremely important platform and initiative by CRIF and commendable to the entire team, Grishma, Garima. We already have more than 1,000 people on this community, 1,000 women.
Oh, that's amazing.
Very, very strong community. That's a milestone that CRIF celebrated recently. But taking forward from there, while we have so many women in the executive level or lower management or even middle management, the women in leadership remains a very small number. Even in the largest bank, so SBI, the largest public sector bank, the largest employee base in India still has less than 30% women there. They've had leadership. ICICI Bank has had leadership. Axis Bank has had amazing women leaders. But today, if you look at bank leadership, we don't have too many. What do you think are the things that people can do? And learning from your experience, you're a leader in one of the largest private sector banks. What do you think we should do differently or do a little more of things that will bring us into the leadership segment?
I think a lot of interventions by corporates are already happening around this and also across the ecosystem. While we are thinking about the corporate world, I think one of the aspects that one also has to understand is tying that knots for business entrepreneurs as well. If in case you are onboarding the vendors, if there are tie-ups, are we seeing the ecosystem as a holistic ecosystem and enabling somebody who's a vendor who has started its own firm as a woman? Are we also making them very inclusive in collectively? That's one important nuances. And for the corporate leaders, I think very, very important that seize the opportunity as it comes your way. And ask what you deserve, because otherwise you will be unheard. So it's important that both these aspects have to be done. And one of my favorite is that stand up and speak up. Because many a times you will not be heard, but never get disappointed. Be resilient. Go back and again discuss. So that's something we believe that I believe that I've done enough, and I think that's one of also the learnings that we have to do it. Well, I've seized the opportunity, and that is why it is. But I think we can always voice ourselves without being judgmental to ourselves. So that's one of the advice that I can kind of give.
It's so important to build your own narrative, but also tell your own story, because nobody else is going to tell your story for you. An amazing point. I think all of us should really
And you're
note.
never ready, Sharda. You're never ready. We have seen men are also not ready, but we overthink about it, that whether we are being ready, can we seize that? Can we take that opportunity? Yes, we are always ready. We have made the toughest decisions on our personal side. We make so many decisions back at home, whether it may be what the ingredients have to go, what it has to be hung on the wall. It's like constant decision making we do. But when it comes to corporate world or when it comes to the business world, we kind of do we hesitate? So if there are any hesitations, my only thing is that we should not hesitate. We should voice it out, because we have that ability and capability, uh, and do voice it out.
Plus, I'm sure all of these learnings, or a lot of these learnings, you would have built up over the period of these 2 decades of experience that you had. But if you had to go back to that day when you started your career in banking, and you had to tell your 20-year-old self something from what you've learned now, what would that be?
Oh, very interesting question. I'll say that trust the journey. Trust the journey, and pause a little bit and give a pat to yourself and enjoy along with your loved ones. It's very, very important. It's very important that you take a pause and celebrate your successes. Small, big, doesn't matter. It's very important and very critical. That is what I will say. Be kind to yourself during the journey, because I think when you are on the go, when you're hustling, when you are ruthlessly being diligent, uh, and working overtime, always on the move, somewhere we kind of cease to pause and celebrate our successes alongside. So for me, that's very, very important. I think I should have done a little bit more, uh, which I think that now I am doing it, but that's something I believe that I should have done more.
So, if you had to summarize, we spoke about your journey from microfinance, corporate banking, international banking now, different geographies, different stages of life, from being an independent young woman to a married woman, a mother, and now I'm sure teenage children, I assume. So, what would that summary be, bringing an advice for the next generation? I'm sure we have a lot of young women attending this session, looking up to you for advice to be where you are in the future. So how do you, what is that one advice that you would want to share with them for their future journeys?
So I use this acronym SMART. Um, but before using this acronym, I would say do everything and anything, obviously well within the framework. Do anything and everything that help uh, achieve your dreams. It's very, very important. Never have regret minimization framework. Always use that, because later in life, you should not think that, if you would have done something in the past, you would have been here, you would have been there. So every path has to have a regret minimization framework. So for me, SMART actually means SMART. SMART, S stands for stake your claim, have your own space, right? Which means you have to be unapologetically you, and definitely you, authentically you, because fundamentals and who you are should not be extracted out in this corporate world, right? You are hired, you are doing a business because it is you. So that's one part which I believe that you should always be doing. Uh, And M is for mentor and be mentored. So always be like a beginner and still believe that whatever you have learned, you have to mentor other women as you go along the journey. It's very, very important. Gone are those days when you have achieved something and you feel completely fulfilled. I don't think today it's about the community. You have to flock, you have to, because it's like one woman who comes into the leadership position. It is like many other, she makes a space for many other such women. So mentor and being mentored is a very important part of this entire journey. And Sharda, credit goes to her, is also that platform that you have brought in for being mentored and to mentor. Then A is keep asking. Don't hesitate in asking anything. R is more for resilience and regret minimization framework. Always keep it in mind. And T is I'm the firm believer of technology. Always learn, always keep learning. Invest in technology, invest in learning. It's the most important and critical part of your life today. And last but not the least, I think understand what is a voice and what is your noise, whether it's inner self noise or external noise. You have to differentiate what is your voice versus what is the noise which is being heard around. So once you know how to actually filter that, I'm sure you have reached and you would make the right decision across. So these are my small nuggets. Uh, these are my nuggets to people, I think. And stand up and speak up that I have always spoken about.
Thank you so much. I think smart is the point to conclude this session. Aastha, can't thank you enough for sharing your journey, being so open in sharing your learnings, amazing insights. I've taken notes. The points that you underlined throughout this session is be uncomfortable, don't stop learning, product development, that there are so many things that we could do differently in product development to remove the bias, to be more inclusive, to build your support system. For you to be professionally successful, you need a strong support system at home and at work. And at home, it could be family, friends. At work, it is mentors, colleagues, peers who will support you to grow. Visibility, ask. I mean, my list is, I'm not going to read through the entire list, but I'm sure all the attendees have also written down and made their points. Powerful lessons on leadership, digital transformation, mentorship, all of which are central to shaping the future. Thank you once again. And to our audiences, thank you for joining us here.